Hey, what's going on, guys? This is your old pal CHH. I want to do a video today where I just try to will stuff into existence and treat this as a small podcast episode. Today I want to talk about things I think should and need to happen in 2024 in terms of physical media, specifically in the horror genre. There's some stuff that's super obvious, but there's other things that I started thinking about like, wow, why has that not happened yet? Some of it is truly a crime, and other things just, quite frankly, when I think about why some of this stuff hasn't happened, gotta get the armrests down for this one. So what I want to do is just talk about it with you guys and kind of, like I said, try to will some of this stuff into existence. Now, I wrote down some of the things I want to bring up, and I'm going to start with the most obvious. I've talked about this before, but I just want to reiterate one more time. Elm Street. This is so I have heard from a number of people that there's going to be a 4K Steelbook for Elm Street this year. I hope that's the case. It's not good enough. I'm with you guys. I still hear all your voices. You all basically say, look, I want a 4K. I want a box set, a Blu-ray box set. I honestly think a box set would be better from Scream Factory. I know that it's probably not going to happen from them. It's probably going to be from the main companies. But I hear you guys. I think if we got an actual box set of all the movies with 2K and 4K scans of everything, all that stuff, I'd prefer that. I think it's criminal that we don't have that Elm Street box set that is the brother or sister version to the Friday the 13th box set. I'd prefer that. But the word is that there's going to be a 4K Steelbook of the original film this year. So I don't know. We'll see, guys. That needs to happen, though. I keep saying if we don't get something for the 40th anniversary of Elm Street, kiss it goodbye. I will officially lose hope if we don't get something for Elm Street this year. I legitimately will officially lose hope. The only thing that would make it change, I think, is if a new movie came out, because that always prompts physical media releases. Like when there's a new Indiana Jones film, they'll put out the old movies again in a new box set, or they'll do a 4K. Hell, we even saw it with we see it all the time, right? Like that's one thing that kickstarts physical media. I'll never forget when Friday the 13th, 2009 came out. That sparked the slasher collection for Friday the 13th, where we got a box set for Jason, Freddy vs. Jason, Jason X, the New Line stuff, and we got the it was pandemonium during the remake for Friday the 13th, like all the physical media. Now, granted, that was a different time where physical media had a much bigger hold in terms of pop culture, but I still think that if we got a new movie that would do something. But I don't know, guys. I'm just going to pray to God that it actually does happen. And if the sales are very strong, maybe more will happen. But it's going to be bittersweet if it happens, because even if we get part one, it's just going to be cool for a minute. Then we're going to be like, okay, I'm ready for the next thing. So that's obviously one of the main things on there. Another thing I wanted to say is I think 2024 should be the year that we get George A. Romero back in the swing of things. I think this is the year we should get Day of the Dead. Now, some people may say, well, it'll make more sense if they do it next year. But, I mean, will it? The thing that sucks about some of those anniversaries, especially if they're 2-3 years away, or in this case would be a year, why wait? Like, it's just stupid to me to have to wait even longer for these movies because, the movie turns 40 next year. Like, so what? Who cares about that? I think Day of the Dead is a title that is criminal that we haven't gotten it on 4K. It's an interesting. I don't know what's going on with the licensing of that movie. Scream Factory still has it available on Blu-ray. You can still get it on Blu-ray, no problem. So, I don't know. I know it's a new license to have to do a new format. I get that. But why would, if they're able to have it for Blu-ray, you think they would be chomping at the bit to put out a title like that, which has a huge fan base and a growing fan base, might I add. On 4K. So, I don't know. I think this needs to be the year we get some George Romero action. If that doesn't happen, though, I wanted to say, I also wrote down Dawn of the Dead. Now, I know that Dawn of the Dead is under the ownership of some person in America for the rights to it in America, not overseas. Sir, please just lighten up and let this movie get licensed out at a reasonable price and let the American fans finally get their hands on Dawn of the Dead. I still think that there could be a really nice addition done in America for this film, and I think that would make a lot of people happy because Second Sight did a disgustingly good job, but there's a lot of people that just refuse to go region free, and it's just too big of a movie to be lost on physical media in America because of money. It's just a shame. I don't even want to know how much this guy's asking for the licensing in America. I'm sure it's disgusting, but there's so many companies. Arrow Video would be the company, I think, that would do Dawn of the Dead absolute justice on a 4K release in America. That would be the company that I would want to have it, is Arrow. I think they could do something really nice. They could do a really, really, really nice release in the vein of something that Second Sight did. So that'd be something I'd love to see happen this year. I'd love to see things finally change for that. Please, man, let it happen. So that and Day and Dawn need American 4Ks bad. Hopefully we get something like that. I mean, Night of the Living Dead got a really great Criterion 4K last year or the year before last, and I love that release. And there's a slew of great releases you can get for Night of the Living Dead, the original. I know we're getting Night of the Living Dead, the remake, this year on 4K, which that's super exciting. That I can't wait for. Super pumped about that. But yeah, let's hope that this is the year that we get some action from George's classic Dead films. We need that desperately. Another thing I want to bring up, this needs to be willed into existence. I think this is the year Rob Zombie finally lets go. And we hopefully get, some sort of 4K of his Halloween films this year. I believe both films were shot on 16. I know Part 2 was. Part 1 might have been shot on 32 mil. I'm not sure. It was shot on film. I know that for a fact. But if Rob is the reason that these aren't coming to 4K, I hope he just lets go. And if not the Halloween films, bring in his other older films like House of a Thousand and Devils. It just needs to happen. We're at that point, We're at that point. We're in the golden age right now, and I think we need to bring it all out as much as we can. Again, this is one of those situations, where guess what next year is? Next year will be the 20th anniversary of Devil's Rejects, and I'm sure we'll probably get, if things don't change, another box set, nice release for the Devil's Rejects, like we got last year for the House of a Thousand Corpses, which was nice. If it was 4K, it would have been release of the year, quite frankly. But I think what they could do is, let's do House on 4K this year. Let's do House on 4K this year. Then next year, do a really nice release for the Devil's Rejects and do a nice 4K for that. I think that would be great. And I think the timing of that would work out a lot better. The Halloween films, I just don't know what the deal is. I really don't know. Those may be in some sort of legal limbo right now with everything going on with the Weinstein Company. Basically, hopefully if Paramount can get the rights to those, I don't know if those are Lionsgate right now or what. But if Paramount can get the rights to those films, that would be great. But regardless, those films, whether you're a big fan of them or not, they just need to be on the highest of definition. That beautiful film, we need to see it. We need to see it in its natural state, which is 4K. So hopefully we get something from Rob on 4K this year. I think this would be the year to do the House of a Thousand Corpses, and then let's do Rejects next year on 4K. So here's to hoping, guys. I'm sick of waiting. Like I said, this is the golden age right now. Let's really make it the golden age and bring these films out. He can't release House of a Thousand Corpses on Blu-ray again. There's just no way he can do that again. So hopefully that's the case. Another thing I think really needs to happen this year, guys, I wrote this down, the resurrection of movies lost on physical media. One of the big ones I constantly hear people talk about is Prom Night 2. I mean, there's others after it, like 3, which I like, and 4, which is pretty good too. But Prom Night 2, Hello Mary Lou, is, in all intents and purposes, just, I think, a superior prom night film than the first one. Prom Night 2 is extremely entertaining. Got a lot of energy to it. It's got a really cool story, and it has a giant fan base. People have really rallied around Prom Night 2 as that one of those movies that needs a nice Blu-ray release. It's been wrote about in Fangoria, about the film having a renaissance. I'll never forget getting a Fangoria after they relaunched a few years ago and reading all about how this growing fan base for Prom Night 2, Hello Mary Lou, and I remember Joe Bob Briggs did an episode of it, and from what I remember reading, it was one of the highest watched live segments of the drive-in, which was with Mary Lou. And this title needs to come out. The rights are interesting. Like, I don't know what's going on, if it's getting a negative issue, but you can get Mary Lou on DVD. I have it on DVD. It's been available in multi-packs long over. I don't know if this would be a Vestron video release. I think that might be the case if it did come out on Blu-ray, but it's a title that desperately needs to happen. So I hope that there are things happening behind the scenes that would make Prom Night 2 Hello Mary Lou available soon. The timing is right. I think the popularity for the film is at an all-time high. It's got a growing fan base, and it needs to happen. So if that would be a Vestron title, I think it would be a great one. So here's to hoping Prom Night 2 happens, as well as 3 and 4, quite frankly. Now, here's something that I hope happens. Dawn of the Discs had reported that Pinocchio's Revenge, if you're not aware about Pinocchio's Revenge is a 1990 little horror. It's a horror film, kind of like a slasher, quite frankly, about this Pinocchio doll that was part of a crime scene where it's kind of like Child's Play, quite frankly. This doll gets possessed, this Pinocchio doll, and it gets in the possession of this little girl. And it's actually a really fun slasher film. And the Pinocchio doll was actually really creepy. It's very 90s, it's just very 90s. And yeah, it's interesting. You know how some people say, "Oh, that movie aged well, that movie didn't age well." I think a lot of the movies we love are very much signs of those times in the sense of style and appeal and stuff. You know, some movies can feel timeless, like Seven, for instance. Seven, you can put it on and you don't really feel the year of it. But I think as horror fans, we like the films that are dated, that you can see the style, like Amityville Dollhouse or Pinocchio's Revenge big time. I think we like that you can see the nostalgic vibes of a time long forgotten in those films, as opposed to movies that are timeless feeling. And Pinocchio's Revenge is certainly one of those films that is very timeless. Not timeless, but very dated. But I don't think being dated is a bad thing. I think that's what we love, those eras of movies. So, but anyway, what I was getting at was Pinocchio's Revenge reportedly got a new HD upscale that was going to be available for streaming. Now, when you hear something like that, that means that there's a very strong possibility that a physical media release could be imminent. Now, Pinocchio's Revenge was under Trimark, which I want to say is probably under the Lionsgate umbrella, which could mean Vestron Video. I could be wrong on that. Hopefully that's the case. It's Trimark or Vidmark, one of the two. I think those might be the same brother and sister companies as well. So I know that like Return of the Living Dead 3 was Vidmark. Excuse me. So that could be coming this year. As a matter of fact, of anything I talk about, I think the safest bet of anything coming from what I've said is probably going to be Pinocchio's Revenge. So this is going to be a first-time watch for a lot of people, and I guarantee you're going to have a great time with this one. So Pinocchio's Revenge is going to be very exciting. And other titles like Rumpelstiltskin, another 90s creature feature movie that is exceptionally good. This was done by the guy who did Leprechaun, and the makeup effects were done by the guy that was working on Nightmare 2, 3. You guys know what I'm talking about. Kevin Yeager did his makeup, and it exceptional. When you watch Rumpelstiltskin, you're actually going to be pretty impressed with how good the movie is. You probably have this idea in your mind, oh, is it a timepiece? No, it's not a timepiece, which is another thing I thought was going to be the case when watching it, but it's really good. So hopefully Rumpelstiltskin comes too, but it looks like, if anything, we're going to get Pinocchio's Revenge. But there's other stuff I want to talk about. There's a movie that was talked about in Search of Darkness 3, and now this movie looks incredible, and as a matter of fact, it's available on YouTube. So if you really want to watch it, you can. I cannot bring myself to watch this on YouTube. I want that vindication of watching it in HD on a Blu-ray disc. This is so embarrassing. God. keep coughing. But it's a movie called Blood Beach. And Blood Beach is a title that the cast is great. I think Burt Young's in it, and it's supposed to be a pretty legendary early 80s horror film. Now, this is something that has been talked about of having legal limbo, and the guy that talked about it on In Search of Darkness was saying, hopefully this stuff is going to be resolved very soon. That way fans can have a physical copy of this movie, and it'll look great. So that leads me to believe that stuff behind the scenes is happening with that, and hopefully we are going to get Blood Beach on a high on a high quality release soon. So, because a lot of those things, they just get lost in legal limbo, and because they were low-budget films at the time, it's hard to say who owned what happened to it. These studios that put these movies out back in the day, they go belly up, and then the rights get moved around to XYZ, this person, that person, and it's just very interesting. So Blood Beach is the title. I think the time is right. Hopefully we're getting out of some legal situations, and Blood Beach will be coming out on 4K. And to me, I think that would be a great Vinegar Syndrome title. I think that'd be a great one. And one of the last things I think should be a horror physical media must have of 2024 is a 4K of Phantasm. Even Phantasm 2. The interesting thing is just like when I was thinking about that to myself earlier, like, what do I want to see happen? I even stopped myself. I was like, no, Phantasm has a 4K. Then I was like, wait a minute. No. It doesn't. I had to correct myself because I thought for a second, like, of course it does. But the interesting thing was when Phantasm got a remaster, there was a remastered Blu-ray that came out, and I believe that remaster was done in 4K. Now, it came out as a Blu-ray, as a 4K scan Blu-ray. And it's a shame that a movie like that doesn't have an actual 4K release, because I feel like the work was done for that, but it never got it, and it never got a 4K release. It just came out on Blu-ray, which I don't know. But I think if that's the case, why wouldn't Phantasm come out on 4K? That remaster that was done on Blu-ray was sensational. The movie looked and sounded out of this world great. So I can imagine that movie with, less compression, HDR, Dolby Vision. Oh my God, it would be remarkable. So Phantasm is a movie I would love to see make its way to 4K, and the time is now for something like that. Again, like if we really are in the golden age of physical media, especially with the horror genre as well, let's get some of these big titles out. It's interesting when you look at how big some titles are that haven't come out yet. And I think Phantasm is one of those titles that it's just like, oh my God. So, I mean, there's a lot of things I would like to see happen this year. And I'd like to see Scream Factory get the rights to some movies that have not been on Blu-ray. Some movies that got lost, like The Haunting of Julia was a great one. I hope we get some more stuff like that this year as well. So, there's a lot of stuff I'd like to see happen, guys, but let's pray to God that Elm Street actually gets a 4K this year. If not, I'm serious. If it doesn't happen this year, I'm losing all hope. I will have no hope whatsoever. So there's some stuff that I would like to see happen. I'd like to know what you think needs to happen in 2024 in terms of horror physical media. What do you think needs to come out? What do you think needs to be put out from Vestron or Scream Factory, or what are your thoughts? I believe in willing things into existence. If you talk about things happening, it's a stronger chance of it happening. I try to live my life that way. It's probably a little too optimistic, but I can't help myself, man. I want to will this stuff into existence. So the biggest things for me is Elm Street needs some new 4Ks. I would love to see something from Rob get a 4K finally. The only thing that's been put on 4K from him is 3 from Hell, which is just a shame. Anything else would be cooler on 4K, quite frankly. And the last big thing I want to talk about, I can't believe I didn't even mention this. Friday the 13th. This is the year we need Friday the 13th Part 2 to come out on 4K. We came out strong. Paramount announced Friday the 13th on 4K, and I was really excited about that. And I thought next year for sure would be the year that we would get Part 2, but instead they put out Part 1 again as a Steelbook with a cool slipcover. That's fine. All right, all right. Let's go. It's time to move on. It's time to It's time to get the wheels turning, and let's get Part 2 coming out on 4K. Part 2, in my opinion, was the best 4K scanned Blu-ray on the box set from Scream Factory when that came out, and I said to myself, this one looks fantastic. And I'm thinking to myself, when that one gets an actual legitimate 4K as well, it's going to be insane how good it looks. So this is the year of Paramount. Let's get Part 2 coming out. The time is now. Let's do it. You guys ran the well with Part 1. I get that. I respect that. I understand how you guys operate. It's time. So Friday the 13th Part 2 needs to happen. I would love to see a Steelbook for Part 5 this year too. That remains to be seen. They obviously put out the first 4 in Steelbooks because of the new scans. So I think they were really trying to get all they could get out of the mileage for those new scans. How about this? Let's do a 4K scan of Part 5. Or let's just put the movie out on a Steelbook, put that great classic VHS art on there. That would be great. But let's keep the train rolling with that, guys. I think this is the year. Part 2. Let's do it. 4K UHD. Dolby Vision. Dolby Atmos. Let's do it. Part 2. I think that would be fan-freaking-tastic. The time is now. So that's another thing I think needs to happen this year. Let's not lose that momentum, because it's been really great with Friday the 13th on physical media over the last 4 years, and I'd hate to see that momentum stop. So that's another thing I think needs to happen this year. So there it is, guys. Those are the things I think are 2024 must-haves in terms of horror physical media. Let me know what you think, guys. I really would like to hear what you are excited about possibly happening, or what you want to see happen. If you're new to the channel, please are welcome, and please drop a like on this video. Make sure you subscribe to stay up to date with everything I do, and I'll talk to you guys very soon. This is your old pal CHH, guys. Take care. Huge, giant thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. Without you guys, this would not be possible. To get behind-the-scenes photos, videos, music, private live streams, and much more, you can subscribe to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Thank you to my patrons.